They say real love is built over time, and that the strongest bonds are forged in shared memories, hardships, and quiet, ordinary days spent together. I believe that. God, I really believe that. I met Ethan when we were just 19, two kids who thought we had it all figured out. We grew up together, side by side, through college stress, first jobs, empty apartments with second-hand furniture, late-night frozen pizzas, and whispered dreams of forever. For almost 12 years, he was my best friend, my person, the man I believed I would grow old with. We married in a small ceremony surrounded by family and friends, promising forever with smiles that felt so real. I thought we'd weather anything because we already had. But love doesn't always break like glass, quick, loud, and catastrophic. Sometimes, it decays, quietly, slowly. It trots beneath the surface until the foundation crumbles beneath your feet, and you never even saw the cracks forming. Looking back, I can trace the signs. They were small at first, easy to excuse when you trust someone with your whole heart. Late-night texts he wouldn't show me, work events he never mentioned until last minute, a shift in his tone when I asked about his day, guarded, short, distant. And then there was her, Emily. She worked with him, someone I'd met before, laughed with even. We weren't close, but I never had a reason to suspect anything. I believed people were good. I believed he was good. That all changed at a dinner party. It was one of those casual get-togethers, friends from work, laughter echoing off cheap restaurant walls, clinking glasses, shared stories. It should have been just another night, but fate has a cruel way of revealing what's hidden. I dropped my napkin under the table and leaned down to grab it. That's when I saw it. Their hands, fingers tangled together under the tablecloth like teenagers at a secret rendezvous. For a second, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The world blurred around me, conversations fading into white noise. My stomach dropped to the floor. That image burned itself into my mind. Their hands, their stolen touch in plain sight. When I resurfaced from the fog of shock, I felt cold, detached, almost robotic. I didn't cause a scene. I waited, I watched, and that night, I confronted him. I wish I could say he confessed. I wish I could say he showed an ounce of remorse or respect. But instead, he crumbled into excuses. It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. It never went further than that. He cried, begged, swore he would cut her off completely, that he loved me, only me, and he had been stupid, careless. I gave him an ultimatum. Cut all contact with her or we're done. He agreed, said all the right things, and I foolishly hopefully thought maybe, just maybe, we could fix what was broken. But trust is fragile. Once shattered, it never fits back together the same way. The days that followed were heavy with silence. I wanted to believe him, I wanted my husband back, but in the quiet moments when he wasn't looking, I caught glimpses of the truth. A man who looked like my husband but wasn't. A stranger behind familiar eyes. I buried my fears. I buried my gut instincts. Because that's what love makes you do. It makes you hope against all odds. It makes you stay longer than you should. But fate wasn't done with me yet. It was only just beginning to unravel everything I thought I knew. Trust is such a fragile thing. It's funny, after everything that happened at that dinner party, after catching them red-handed, I still wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that maybe it was just a stupid mistake, that maybe people really could change if they were given a second chance. But deep down, I already knew I was lying to myself. The distance between us only grew. His eyes didn't light up the way they used to when he looked at me. His phone, once left out in the open without a second thought, was now guarded like a treasure chest of secrets. He was always tired, always distracted, always somewhere else, even when he was sitting right next to me. And I hated who I was becoming. Suspicious, anxious, restless. Every little thing set off alarm bells. Late nights at work, my heart would race. Phone on silent, my stomach would drop. But the worst part, he made me feel crazy for it. Like I was the problem for not trusting him. Like I was paranoid. It was gaslighting in its purest form. Still, I told myself I was being dramatic. I told myself love was about forgiveness, about fighting for someone when things got hard. But then came the weekend that changed everything. I had to go visit family, a relative 2 hours away who wasn't well. Ethan always came with me to things like this. Always. It was never even a question. But this time, he told me he had to work. Something about a project deadline. Some vague excuse about needing to stay back and focus. It didn't sit right with me. Nothing about him sat right with me anymore. I remember driving away from our house that morning, looking back in the rearview mirror, feeling like I was leaving behind a ghost of a life that didn't exist anymore. I should have known. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every nerve in my body was on fire. So I did something I'd never done before. I opened Snapchat. See, Ethan wasn't smart enough to realize his location was still being shared with me. And there it was. Not at home, not at work, at the bar. Their bar, the place he would always go with his work friends at the same circle that included her. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear anything else. I knew he was with her. I didn't sleep that night, barely made it through the next day without shaking. When I called him, I asked him casually what he was up to. The lies poured out like honey. Oh, just working late. Didn't do much last night. Probably just grab takeout tonight and watch TV. I almost laughed. Almost. Because there was no hiding anymore. I drove back that evening, barely remembering the road. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My mind spinning with everything I wanted to say. When I walked through the door, he looked surprised, guilty, cornered. And that's when I let it all out. I told him I knew. I told him where he was. I told him I knew he wasn't working, that he was with her. And that's when he showed me exactly who he really was. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. Instead, he flipped the script, started tearing me down. If you don't trust me, what's the point of being together? You're always suspicious. It's exhausting. I need someone who trusts me. I have a connection with her. Something I don't have with you anymore. And the knife went in deeper. You're not a sexual enough person for me. I need someone who makes me feel alive. My life is passing me by and I'm stuck in a marriage with someone who's always working or moving around. God, I still remember the way he looked at me, like I was the villain in his story, like I had forced him into this, like he wasn't the one tearing our marriage apart with lies and betrayal. That night, I told him to leave. I told him we were done. No more ultimatums. No more begging. No more tears. He packed a bag and walked out the door without a backward glance. And where did he go? Straight to her. Of course. Moved in with her like it was the easiest thing in the world. Like our years together had never mattered. And in our small town, it didn't stay quiet for long. Everywhere I went, I saw them, together, laughing, living their new life like I was some ghost left behind, like I was the fool who never saw it coming. But what he didn't know, what they didn't know, was that karma moves quietly. It waits, it watches, and its timing is always perfect. After he left, the silence in the house was suffocating. It wasn't peaceful, it wasn't healing, it was loud. Every corner of that house screamed of him, of us. The coffee mugs still in the cupboard he never bothered to clean. The hoodie he left hanging on the chair. The photos I couldn't bring myself to take down just yet. I would sit in our living room my living room now, staring at the ghosts of the life we built together. It was grief, real grief, like a death, but worse, because he wasn't gone. He was still out there, alive, thriving, parading his new life around town like he'd won some kind of prize. He didn't even bother hiding it. The bar where we had our first date, they were there. The cafe tilde copyright I love to read in on Sunday mornings, he brought her there. Everywhere I turned, someone had seen them, heard them laughing, watched them touch like teenagers drunk on infatuation. And the worst part, people talked. Oh, they talked. Small towns are built for gossip, and I was the headline story. People looked at me with pity, or worse, like I was weak. But what they didn't see was the storm building inside me. I wasn't weak, I was angry. And anger, it was the thing that saved me. I tried to get the divorce done cleanly. I asked him, multiple times, let's just get this over with. Let's be adults. Every time the same empty promises. Yeah, I'll fill out the paperwork this weekend. Sorry, Just been busy. Let's talk next week. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into me realizing he wasn't just dragging his feet. He was stalling, living his best life with her while leaving me chained to the past, still legally tied to a man who didn't even respect me enough to sign the papers and set me free. But fate had other plans. It came in the form of an unexpected call. My mother-in-law, a woman I had always liked, always respected. "Have you heard they're moving?" she asked, her voice cautious. "What? They're leaving, moving to another state next week. I thought you should know." I sat there, phone in hand, shaking. Of course he was, running away from the mess he made, leaving me to clean up the wreckage while he skipped town with his shiny new life and his shiny new girlfriend. But he wasn't going to get away with it, not this time. I confronted him, showed up to where he was staying, where they were both staying. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I stood there with every ounce of dignity I had left and handed him the divorce papers. "This ends now," I told him, calm, steady, stronger than I'd ever been. And you know what he had the audacity to say? "We should be civil about this." Civil, like I was the one who destroyed everything, like I was the villain. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. He signed the papers, and 2 days later they were gone, packed up their perfect little fantasy life and drove away to another state like cowards running from their own reflection. And for the first time in months I exhaled, not because I missed him, not because I wanted him back, but because I was free. Finally, truly, free. But the universe wasn't done writing this story. Not yet, because karma doesn't always move quickly, but it always arrives. And when it does, it doesn't knock, it kicks the door down. Life after him was quiet, not empty, just a broken bar still. It wasn't happiness yet, I wasn't there. Healing doesn't come in big, dramatic waves. It comes in moments so small you barely notice them, like sleeping through the night without waking up in tears, like driving past the places they haunted without feeling your stomach twist, like hearing their names without flinching. I started to breathe again. I started to feel like me again, whoever me was after everything had been burned to the ground. I focused on the little things, coffee on the porch and the morning sun, music playing while I cleaned, music I loved, not songs that reminded me of him. Rebuilding my space piece by piece until it no longer looked like our home. It was mine. And slowly, the pain dulled, until one ordinary afternoon, while scrolling on my phone, life handed me a gift I never expected. A local news story. The headline made my heart stop. Her name, Emily, the woman who blew up my life, arrested. I blinked, thinking I had misread it. But it was real. Charged with theft. Turns out, while they were busy playing house together, she was stealing money from her employer. Thousands. They had caught her. She was in gaol, an actual, convicted felon. I sat there for a long time, staring at that screen. I didn't feel joy exactly, not revenge. What I felt was peace. Karma had done what I could never do. It showed her for who she really was. A liar, a thief, a fraud. Everything they built together as their secret, forbidden, stolen little romance, it was all rotting from the inside out. Because that's what happens when you build a life on betrayal. It crumbles, sooner or later. I learned through whispers from old friends that she spent a month in gaol, that there was a trial, that she was convicted, a criminal record that would follow her forever. And him? Ethan stayed with her. Of course he did. Misery loves company. Two broken people clinging to each other in a house made of lies. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to say anything. Life handled it for me. And it was the sweetest kind of justice. Not loud, not violent, but quiet, final. True. I stopped checking after that. I didn't need to know what happened next. Their story wasn't mine anymore. Their future, whatever mess it turned into, belonged to them and me. I was busy writing a new story. One built on truth. One built on peace. One where I was no longer the woman who had been left behind, but the woman who survived, who rose from ashes, who learned that sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find yourself again. Healing is not a moment. It's not a single day when the pain suddenly evaporates. It's not a sunrise you wake up to feeling brand new. It's a process, a slow, quiet becoming, after everything, after the betrayal, the lies, the humiliation, The divorce. I didn't wake up stronger overnight. I didn't wake up healed, but I woke up free. And that was the beginning. Free from the weight of pretending to be okay in a marriage that had already died long before he left. Free from waiting on empty apologies that were never coming. Free from questioning my worth based on a man too weak to love me properly. I started small, cleaning out the remnants of our life together. His old t-shirts gone, the photos of us smiling with hollow eyes tucked away, then later thrown out. The things I used to keep because I thought they meant something. A broken bar. I realized they were just things. They didn't hold power anymore. I rearranged my house. I moved furniture, painted walls, bought new bedding in colors I loved. I lit candles that made the space feel warm. Safe am mine. I found joy in simplicity. Morning walks, fresh flowers on my table, books that made me cry for the right reasons. I started going out again, not to bars, not to places where I might see him or feel like a shadow of myself, but to places that felt peaceful. Coffee shops where no one knew my name, parks where I could sit in the sun without memories chasing me. And slowly a broken bar I changed. I found laughter again, not forced, not hollow, real. I reconnected with friends who reminded me who I was long before him. People who loved me for me, not for what I could offer, or how loyal I could be to someone who didn't deserve it. And I started forgiving myself. That was the hardest part. Forgiving myself for staying as long as I did. Forgiving myself for loving him honestly when he loved me with conditions. Forgiving myself for ever thinking his betrayal was about my worth, because it wasn't. It never was. His choices were never a reflection of my value. They were a reflection of his emptiness, his cowardice, his inability to love deeply or stay loyal. And the woman he left me for, the one who stole what little trust I had left in people, she didn't win. She didn't take anything from me. They both lost, because they still have to wake up every day with themselves, with their lies, their history, their choices. But me, I wake up with peace, I wake up with freedom, and I wake up with hope. There's a special kind of beauty in rebuilding yourself from nothing. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's real, and it lasts. Now, when I think about the past, I don't feel pain. I feel gratitude. Not for the betrayal, not for the heartbreak, but for the lesson. Because the woman I am today, she is stronger, softer, wiser. She loves herself without needing permission. She trusts herself more than anyone else. She knows what she deserves, and she will never settle for less again.